I want to talk about cinema for a minute. Very recently, when I went to the cinema, my local theatre, I felt really compelled to inquire about the price of a Transformers 1 cardboard cutout. It was about 7 foot tall, 9 foot wide, 2 or 3 foot deep. And I thought, why did I want to buy this when I knew I had nowhere near enough room currently? And I thought, I want to preserve history because something like this, not many people would have it, let alone have the room for it, obviously. And I had to disassemble it to get it out the building, which I had help with, thankfully. And I thought, there's so much detail in this. The amount of screws and layers and slots and everything, and just so many layers, and it was a very hefty job. It was just the two of us doing it. And I thought, so many places now, we're heading into a less physical world and a lot more digital, obviously. And even at this cinema, my local cinema, it's called Showbiz Cinemas, we're heading into a more digital world, like I said. The movie posters in there, for the majority, are digital, and they rotate through. And something like this, they could easily just have a big screen and save the fuss and hassle in the long run and not do these massive cardboard cutout things. And currently, actually, it's a fairly small cinema, and I'll go into some history that I have with my other cinema that actually closed down a little while ago. But this cinema is pretty small, it's very intimate, but I really like it. It's very close by, and I go there quite often, at least once a month, I'd probably say. And with how big the place is, there's 4 or 5 cardboard cutouts there at the moment. And again, the Transformers one was the biggest. I believe there was they had one for Wicked, The Wild Robot, a fantastic movie. Transformers 1 is also a fantastic movie, by the way. Hence why I obviously got it, because I enjoy the movie a lot. And Gladiator, that one was probably the second biggest one in there. That was quite big. And I thought it really immerses you into the atmosphere, because why else would you go to a cinema? So often nowadays, you can find it online later, or sometimes a month in, or there's other places online you can check out these movies, because a lot of these also go to streaming the same day that they go to cinema. So why would you go to a cinema? And I feel a lot of that is obviously the experience. And I feel that is being lost over time. But I'm surprised with my local cinema currently, because it doesn't seem to be heading in that direction. And I'm very, very proud of it. And I hope it stays like this, where they get more physical things like the cardboard cutouts, and they have a couple vinyl posters, I believe, that are quite big and stuff like that. And it really adds to the atmosphere, When I think of a cinema, I think of, all those displays, the popcorn and candy area, and also the red velvety carpet. I can immediately smell Pepsi and popcorn and all these treats and everything like that. I've always been a cinema goer since I was a kid, and I want to talk about a couple of those memories. And so it was the Regent Cinema, and it actually closed down a few months ago. And it was pretty surprising, because it was just before Despicable Me 4 and Inside Out 2 was coming out for the school holidays. And those are massive movies, and that's usually when you get a lot of customers when it's school holidays, and a bunch of kids animated movies that people are excited for. And they closed down just before that, and I didn't do too much research, but basically it was poor management. So the place was just sort of let loose, and all the employees were let go with barely any notice. And I was actually there a few months prior to that happening to see Dune Part 2, which was a brilliant movie. Saw it with my friend. But when I went that time, it seemed a bit depressing. So the day that we went, obviously there wasn't too many people. I think it was a Tuesday afternoon or something. So obviously it wasn't going to be the busiest time. But even on that kind of day and for that movie, it was very barren. And when I went in there, This place, realize, is about... It's a bit hard to sort of describe, but it's at least 5 times bigger internally. And they have much more cinemas, and it's been there for much longer. It's much more established cinema place in where I live. And they had one cardboard cutout throughout the whole place. And there was even a room where I believe they used to have like all these famous actors' portraits and stuff like that throughout the room. And I think that was gone or reduced or something. And just a lot of the atmosphere was gone. And I used to go to this place like again all the time because that was the only cinema in my town for quite a while. And I just think back, like, you know, growing up, you know, I had so many great experiences, especially when I finished high school. Between when I finished high school and when Avengers Endgame came out, I was at that cinema so much. All of the MCU movies during that time I saw there, and I thoroughly enjoyed them so much, especially Infinity War. Probably my best cinema experience. I saw it with my friend again, and man, the cheers and the tears at the ending of the film. You don't really experience many moments like that anymore, I feel. I know why I definitely don't experience moments like that too often. And this cinema, especially Cinema 1, like the biggest cinema at this establishment, it was so fun walking in, looking at all the seats, going to the best one available, sitting down, enjoying the movie, laughing at the commercials because they're all just not really too interesting, and stuff like that. And my last couple times before that, I saw Space Jam and Godzilla X Kong like over the last couple of years, because 90% of the time, or even 99% of the time, I go to Showbiz now, even when, you know, the Regent was still open. And I thought, you know, a lot of the charm was gone because they just let the place go. They barely put any effort into the look of the place, and there was also a lot more precautions of like layers of, you know, not letting anyone sneak in, which is good because you don't want people to obviously like sneak into a theater or anything like that. But the way that they had set it up, it was very like uninviting, you know? And I don't know, it didn't seem like, it just slowly became less of an approachable and inviting place. Because the cinema always seemed like an inviting place to me as a kid, with, you know, the color of the candy and popcorn and the red carpet. And in the main cinema, there was like a massive sort of chandelier light. There was actually a few of them, and they were like a warm yellow light that obviously dimmed when the movie started playing. And I don't know, it was just so warm and inviting. And I feel a lot of stuff as a kid for me was very warm and inviting, and I just really miss that. And for Showbiz, one of the biggest things that it doesn't have is that warm feeling. Everything in there is like black and grey in terms of the actual like furniture and walls and stuff like that. It doesn't have all the red carpet and stuff like that. But again, it has all those displays, so they do care. It's a bit more of a new flashy cinema, which is obviously why it doesn't have those more retro cinema elements. But it does the best it can, and I just really respect that. And I'm like, you know, I really want to have my own cinema someday. Obviously more so just a personal home theater, more like, is probably a better way to put it. And that's obviously going to take a lot of time for me to get to and set up a place like that. And even it's going to take a lot of effort to reassemble the Transformers cardboard cutout, which that'll be fun. But it's going to look so cool in there. And I'm honestly going to keep an eye out for future ones, because the manager of Showbiz, they said, yeah, let me know if you're interested in any more in the future. And that just also tells me, you know, it's, especially since this is the only cinema in my city at the moment, not many people are asking for it or wanting them. And I was semi-tempted to get the Wild Robot one because that was like much smaller and cheaper. Like I could probably just like lift it out as it is and not disassemble it. But I feel that one is less of an iconic movie. Like Transformers is much more of a recognizable brand. And that's what I want in my own home theater, is the more recognizable, IPs and stuff like that. And yeah, so that's just why I felt compelled to get it. And I really want to just take a moment with this video to appreciate cinema. So I want to ask you, what are some of your like most personal and best theater/cinema experiences growing up, or even in recent times? Or just sort of what you like most about cinema, what your favorite movie was you saw in the cinema. I don't know about you, but a lot of the movies that I saw in cinema that I had such a good experience with, like I said, with Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, it really adds to the movie years later. When I rewatch them, like it just takes me back to that sort of mentality and like always just reminisce on the good times. I'm a very nostalgic person, so I very much appreciate doing that. No Way Home was probably one of the last movies that really had that big hyped up factor, with just such a big audience and big reaction. And so I really respect the MCU in past times with a lot of those just cinema experiences. So many movies are meant to be seen in the cinema, and I'm actually going back to Showbiz in a few days to see Venom: The Last Dance. And there's different grades of cinema. Now this Venom 3 doesn't look like the best, Marvel film of all time or anything like that. It just looks like dumb fun. And sometimes that's all you need. And I can appreciate a dumb fun movie when the movie is like enjoying itself, I think that's something that you can tell when a film is enjoying itself. And that's just kind of what I hope for it. And I hope I enjoy it. So either way, just wanted to appreciate cinema for a sec. So thank you for listening. I know it was a bit of a off the cuff video. Just kind of felt talking about it, and yeah, so thanks for watching.